Welcome back to another episode of Recovery Life. My name is Latoya, and we are back. I have a spicy new guest for you today. I'm going to turn over the camera so she can introduce herself. How you doing?
Good. My name is Kaitlynn.
Kaitlynn, tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I am 27 years old. I am a year and a month clean, and I'm pretty much just creating a better version of myself every day as I go.
I like that. I like that. So when you say you're creating a better version of yourself every day, give me some idea of what that looks like.
So I have been getting a lot out of my comfort zone lately. I'm trying a lot of new different things. I'm trying to gain a new career more in the path of recovery, and pretty much just doing a lot of things that make me happy instead of staying stagnant.
Okay. So how long did it take for you to make a decision to say, like, I want something different for my life, and I know it's going to be hard, but this is the direction I'm willing to take?
Well, I've always wanted to be better, you know what I mean? I knew I wasn't in a good place. I didn't really have a good childhood. And from a very young age, I knew that I could be something great. And going into the path of recovery has showed me and gave me the confidence to know that I can do that.
And just so we could get the nervousness off, I just say shit, and then I get it over with, so it's done. Now it's done. So I have to do that real quick. So knowing you and seeing you in the community with a year clean, you're doing some amazing things already. I see you every day, and I see you upgrading yourself and your level of in the community, your career. You're always going for more. What does it take for your recovery to take transition? Because I know that change is difficult for the addict in recovery. So what is that like for you to transition?
So it pretty much, being in the recovery is brand new to me. You know, I started using it at a very, very young age, and I didn't really know what life is about. So this is all new. I feel like a fresh baby. Like I'm loving it. The more that I can get, I'm happy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what are some of the things you do to keep up with your recovery status?
So self-care is definitely a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping up with my self-care, keeping everything nice and clean. I came up from a very messy childhood. And so if I keep everything clean around me, and I feel a lot better, more productive. I go to a lot of groups and meetings.
Okay.
Meetings is big for me in recovery. Whether I like to go with friends, but I like to focus more on myself too. So anytime that I can get one of those in, I like to go.
Okay, so when you say you like to go to meetings, what about the meetings makes it beneficial for you?
Hearing other people share, knowing that I'm not the only one. You know, growing up and how I did, I thought maybe I was the only one, like nobody had felt like the way that I do. And going into Narcotics Anonymous, it had showed me that I'm not the only one. And there's a lot more people out there like me.
Okay. And so it's like it's a family. So we'll say family or fellowship. We won't say their name anymore. We won't say your name anymore. So being a part of the same family as you, the fellowship, I have learned that no recovery is the same. Everybody has an individual way that it works regardless. There's no one way to recover. How long did it take you to find something that actually worked for you?
Well, even though I've been in recovery for a year, it took me pretty much up until like the 6-month point. I wasn't really sure what to do with myself. I didn't like being in the fellowship. I didn't think it was for me. And one day kind of just something switched, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try this again. I joined the Never Pick Up, and I stick to that. And even though I wasn't there mentally in the beginning, I definitely am now, and it's showing.
It is showing. It is showing a lot. Tell me what it's like, if you had to describe it in words, what your worst day was like when you were in active addiction.
Wow. A lot of pain. A lot of mental not wanting to be here, ready to pull the plug, like just dark, very dark and dreary. I can get very emotional, and definitely with the using, that emotion showed more, especially with alcohol. That was one of my biggest vices. And when I ran out of everything, I ran out on wanting to be here with myself, not caring about anyone around me or thinking that I was better off gone.
And when you mentioned that, we lost a couple of people recently, back to back. And how do you continue to go forward when somebody's so close to our family? makes a decision or something happens to them, because it doesn't necessarily have to be that they, they overdose or that happened, but what happens when you see somebody actually growing into something beautiful and then life shows up and then they're no longer here?
So actually, I've lost a few of my own, very close and dear to me. When I was 17, I had lost my sister, my best friend, and that really took things into perspective for me. Moving on in recovery, I take those people and I keep them in the back of my head as more of a remembrance and to do well in their honor, because it means a lot to me.
I like to hear that, because I mean, it's never something that you can ever say you're used to, ever. And the pain that comes from that is unique and different every time. What do you do for yourself to continue to go forward even when it hurts?
I lean on my support group. My father is big for me. I've never seen him clean, and he's going on 2 years. And that to me is huge. I mean, we used to use together. And we've caused a lot of destruction. He's caused a lot of destruction in my childhood. And I go to him for a lot of advice, and I look up to him. My family has always been a really good support system for me. My mother, she never shied away from me, even during my active addiction. And knowing that I can lean on them for that is really big for me.
That's fantastic. So you have somebody in your family that's able to see you the way they always knew you could be.
Yes.
Right. What does that feel like to just be able to show up today?
The first thing I think of is love, really. The love that people have for me, the love that I have for others. It plays a really big part in my recovery, because we were so broken down, and love is something that nobody really can take away from you. As long as you love somebody at the end of the day, most likely they're going to be all right.
I like that. So we believe in love unconditionally. We also believe in tough love.
Definitely.
Right? Have you ever experienced tough love when it came to somebody just saying that they had a damn enough and they were there, and then they just said, this is it?
Yeah,
What
I
was that
definitely
like?
have. My brother, right back to my family. Me and him aren't on speaking terms right now. It's very hard for him. He experienced a lot of trauma just like I have, but we all have our different perspectives. And me and him right now, it's like oil and water. And when we sit down and try to have a conversation, he's very, he doesn't want to hear it. He's just not okay with how I used to be and the things that I've done. And it's still to this day, it's taken me a lot to understand that and just be okay with it, because I want my brother in my life. I love him to death, but it's just not the time. It's just not the time.
And knowing the time is important, because we talk about that all the time, about we can't force feed people our amends. Whenever they're ready, because it's like putting them through trauma again. It's like I forced you to live your sleepless nights with me out there doing what I do, and now I'm forcing you to know I'm better, right? How does that feel, though, when you just wish that they would come around, but the rules are that you have to fall back?
Well, it definitely hurts, knowing how well I'm doing for myself and in my recovery. I wish that, for example, my brother would be there and have a part in that, because I have far come. I'm so proud of myself, and I know just from here on out, I'm going to be doing great things. And I just want him to be involved.
And so you said it's been a year and a month, right? How long would you say you were active?
Since I was 12. Very long time. I was 12 years old. I had a traumatic experience. I picked up the bottle, and it never ended from there. And by 15 years old, I was doing hard drugs. And
he was with you through how many years of using?
Pretty much all of it. We grew up together in the same house. We're only 2 years apart. Probably when I was about 18 is when we kind of drifted a little bit, and I went into more of like a deep active addiction, away from everybody, on the street, secluded. Other than that, we pretty much were at my house, and we did everything there. So the reason I asked that question is because a lot of times they go through this with us, and a year is not enough time, just like it's you're a baby in this, right? So is he. Because our people have to recover with us sometimes, and sometimes their recovery is longer than the actual active addict because of all the ups and downs of their emotional needs. And I tell people that a lot, like, they're going to be there, but they want to make sure you're safe enough for them to come to you. Make sense? It really does. Yeah. And I'm here for it, and I know to wait, and I will be patient. I love him to death, and he'll be around forever. So I just got to take the time and just give him what he needs, and when he's ready, we can sit down and have that conversation.
And that's what an amends is. It says when else, unless it would do harm to others, you know. And when that time comes, it'll come, and guess what? You'll be doing even more to show, like, this is real. You know, your girl is real. I'm really doing what it is, and look what, you know, look what I'm doing. And they come. Before you know it, they'll be by your side, and you won't even know, you know. What is it going to be like for you when you start to feel recovery? Not just be recovery and not be in recovery. When you feel it, like when you know things are changing emotionally, and when you're able to have patience, like you just said, what is that like?
So I'm thinking like more of like independence, definitely. I'm manager at a sober house. I love my girls, but you know, years down the road, having my own apartment or house and being able to take care of my mom and having that independency. Climbing the ladder in my career and just doing everything I can for myself. To me, that makes me happy.
And I see you're hardworking. You wear a lot of your emotions on your sleeves, even though people don't know that. I do. You take everything a little bit like it's on you, and it's their individual choices that makes it. It's not on you, you know? And that's a part of the process of when you go higher. Higher levels means you have to learn how to accept this level you're at right now, and it's giving you some tools to use, right? What is it like dealing with other people's issues, because it's what you do for a living, without speaking about where it is or what is it like being in recovery yourself and having to deal with another recovering person?
So for me, I'm a very emotional, empathetic person, and having to sit down with myself and figure out, am I being too emotional? How should I go about the situation? And when is it like being with somebody and with their feelings, per se, sitting down talking to somebody when they're at a very low level. I have to make sure that I don't myself go into that low level with them due to my being so empathetic. So I'm still learning the difference between it, but I think I do very well. Like a lot of people look up to me for that, and they know that they can come to me for anything, which is just something that I love.
That means you're strong and you're structured, you have boundaries. Boundaries is a key to it all, because what happens is you can become a sticky tape for people's pain. And that's something that we cannot do. We have to learn the emotional boundary, which means that you're not a suction cup. You are just somebody who can give direction and say, find a sponsor, you know, get some therapy, you know, do this, because I'm not the person that does all of this. I'm here to make sure you're safe and that you don't, you know, these are the things I'm here to do. I'm not here to be your financial advisor. I'm not here to do. How good are you at doing that?
I'm getting there. People, sometimes I feel like I can be a little bit more of like a mother in the house, the little tedious things. I'm working on it. I definitely have the like resilience of it. I know when maybe I shouldn't have said something, and I go back and I retrace it. I'm like, all right, next time I'm going to do it this way. So I'm always evolving. Like I said, sitting back and thinking before I go into a situation, it probably works best for me. Just to kind of run it in my head, play it out, see how everything goes. Just because I don't want to cause any destruction and or harm by mistake. Being too, not selfish, but having like a blank face, no emotion. Because sometimes I can do that as well. If I don't feel like it makes sense or I don't understand it, I can get very self-offish. And I don't want to do that to anybody. I don't want to make them feel like they're unseen or unheard.
That's important, meaning that you don't want to be rigid, which is one of the things I've been working on all these years is I'm like, black or white. My sponsor would be like, you can't be that way. You gotta, you know. But tell me this. What part of you has a fear of relapse? Have you thought about what can trigger some shit to happen to you that would make you not say anything, not ask for help, and make a bad decision? What would that be? What's that look like?
So really, the more I think about it, so cravings, I have cravings almost every day. That's something that doesn't end, and I've learned to, as I go every day, kind of just defeat that. But something I worry about a lot and I'm scared of is my family, my mother, or say something bad happened to my father. He had relapsed, or my mother got ill. I feel like when it comes to that, I get scared, you know, because it's like, oh, maybe I might go pick up that drink because I don't know how to cope with those emotions. It's hard for me.
Okay, and I'm glad that you had an area, because when I'm asking these questions and there's not rainbows and butterflies and stuff going around because what people don't understand is when a person is in active addiction, it becomes their boyfriend, girlfriend, lover, best friend, co-worker, employee, employer, house, apartment, bills, self-respect, dignity, toothpaste, soap and water.
Yep.
You know, it becomes all of that, right? So if you leave something that's so strong that it can take you away from all of that, and I haven't even said being a mother, all that other stuff, something so powerful, it can take you away from all of that, and you say to me you don't have an area that makes you afraid of the return of the hell, we got an issue.
Yeah.
Right? What do you do when those fears kick in? How do you get through it, the emotion?
So, those dark, dreary thoughts, I've actually given a name to them. I have my own personal name, and I kind of take that and identify it as something else not within me. So I kind of look at it and I'm like, all right, you are just thoughts, you're not really real. And I try to work them out in that sense, because it can happen a lot, especially to me. I can be very negative at times. I'm my own worst enemy at the end of the day. I can destroy anything in a second. And I've been learning that it's just my mind. You know, we have those thoughts, and it's the disease in general sneaking up on me.
Mm-hmm. The disease will scream at you, and nobody can hear it but you, because it screams the thoughts in your head out loud over and over again, right? So when you're feeling insecure, it screams insecurities.
Yes.
And when you're feeling like isolated, it screams why you should stay there, right? Everybody's against you, everybody's out to get you, and before you know it, why not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When those thoughts are happening, who's your go-to person to say, hey, this is what's happening?
I have a really good friend of mine. She has been with me through a lot of my addiction. You know, she's just been kind of my right-hand man. And she's also in recovery herself. And she's someone that can pretty much tell me to my face, you don't sound right. That doesn't make sense. Call me out on my bullshit.
Good. Is there any human beings that's stronger than your recovery?
Elaborate more on the question. That's a hard question.
I know.
I mean, not really, not in a sense. I'd say no, because other than myself, because my recovery to me always has to come first. But if I don't have my recovery, I don't have anyone around me, because I just self-sabotage everything and rather be alone.
So, scenario. The only person that can take me off my game and have me thinking strong thoughts is my husband, right? So if I get into a strong discussion, when we call them strong discussions, ain't no arguments, like strong discussion, and I am deep thought, I always try to make amends before I hit the human world outside, because that's the only thing that can keep me from being safe in the world. Because I'm in deep thought, which means it's distracting me from driving, it's distracting me from my surroundings. So that's what I mean when I say, is there any human being that has the power to throw you off of your safe space?
I probably my significant other as well. We've been together for going on almost 5 years. Okay. And he's still in the beginning of his recovery. He's doing well, but you know, he's had his own share of troubles. And I've noticed when he gets too emotional or down, it can almost kind of affect me in a way, because I want him to do so well. And I've found myself a few times falling into kind of like a spiral because of his emotions and how me and him would conversate about other things.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because anything that's that strong, we have to pay attention to, and we have to do more work in that area, right? So I learned when I was having those emotions, because I've been with my husband almost 10 years, and I'm 13 years in recovery. I had to learn from people who were married 20, 30 years in their recovery, in their marriage, and their recovering people, you know, how to communicate that I'm vulnerable right now. it doesn't mean that I'm going to run and go drink. It means that I'm vulnerable and I feel like filling a void, whether it be on Temu or Amazon. That is using. Anything that I do to change a feeling with another feeling is using.
Yes.
So if I shop, scratch off tickets, whatever it is, whether it be something, whatever it is that you're doing to replace the feeling is using, which means you need to be aware of what that was in the original state, because that means it had some power.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things I would like for you to focus on and see, like, what do you do when that was happening? What were your go-tos when you felt, you were like in your relationship and y'all have a little disagreement or something happened with him? Where did your thoughts go?
I get so emotional sometimes. I can self-sacrifice and I won't do anything. You know, there will be no self-care. I'll stay in my bed. I get very almost depressed and I can't function properly. Like I said, back to the self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just, instead of doing something that'll harm me, I won't do nothing at all, which in intense still harms me.
Mm-hmm. Have you been open to look into different ways of doing it now, or are you still learning?
I'm still learning, but I've definitely found a few other ways. Being a little bit more productive, even if it goes to just doing chores or cleaning, just to kind of get my mind out of that zone, and then I can go back later and kind of figure out what went wrong in my mind, what bothered me, but kind of just distracting myself until I'm strong enough to be able to go back to that situation.
Okay. There's always got to be something to fill the void, and whatever you use to fill that void, it has to be healthier
Mm-hmm.
than what we took out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will take a deep breath and I would say, you know what, I'm going to tell my sponsor that I'm ready to raise my voice, right? And then go from there. And by the time I get done hearing myself out loud, I could have just been like, babe, I need more attention, or
Yep.
just use my words
Yep.
and say, like, I need more from you. But instead, I'm like, I need more attention. I need more attention. Or, or.
I can agree.
Right? So are you going to challenge yourself to say out your mouth when you need more for yourself?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because I'm also learning what I want and what I need. So in order to, I need to voice that, And I did have a scenario the other day where we were talking and something had bothered me. He was really tired and I didn't like the tone of his voice, and kind of reminded me of some past things that had happened, and I didn't really like it. And I told him to go to bed, and I had voiced that. I had messaged him and I said, listen, I set some boundaries. I said, if you feel like you're that tired, go to bed. Don't call me. I need to make sure it doesn't affect me in a way, because I don't want to go back to those feelings. Mm-hmm. And I was really proud of myself for that, honestly.
And that is recovery. Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what exactly. And that is recovery, being able to protect not only yourself, but him. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is, if we're tired or angry, lonely, the halt, we can know that we're not in a good place and then take it out on somebody, mm-hmm. then they rebuttal.
Yeah.
And we're more angry at, their comeback, like, how dare you talk, but you should have took the call, right? So you set up some boundaries for yourself.
Yes.
How different does that feel to set up boundaries?
Well, it's something I'm not used to. This is definitely new, even in my recovery. It's something I started not too long ago, but I like it. I feel more, what's the word I'm looking for, like stronger. Mm-hmm. It makes me feel more good about myself. And I'm not used to feeling good about myself. So I enjoy it. I do.
That's awesome. And I love hearing that, because boundaries are the things that hold things in place, mm-hmm. right? Without them, things would just be floating around. And there would be no safety whatsoever in that, right?
Yeah.
So, scenario. New person just came in, has no idea about recovery. Don't believe in meetings, doesn't know anything about sponsorship, and she has a new boyfriend, and she just got there. What you gonna say?
Well, first I would kind of listen to them, see what they are and what they want, and try to give them some advice. I'm not going to give anybody advice over relationships. Mm-hmm. That's something that you've taught me,
right.
and I agree with that. But I would try to direct the conversation more onto them. Why do they feel like they need somebody? Are they okay? Are they feeling alone? And just kind of giving them some of that comfort that they may need from either whether it would be a new guy or just a friend, because obviously they're lonely. You know, they don't know where to go. So I would be that person to just kind of welcome them and know that they're in a safe space.
I love that, because that's exactly what we should do, because what happens is new people are new for a reason. They have no idea how to live life and they're trying, right? So, of course, they're going to get in a relationship even though, you know, it's not the greatest idea. So, to be able to say, oh, why don't you just, you know, let me know how that's going, and, you know, because it opens the door for them to communicate. But if we say that's a bad idea, you know, you should be, you're not going to hear about when it goes wrong.
Yeah, they're going to shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's the same with the addicts who are out there using. When people judge them and say, oh, you need to do this, oh, you need to do that, I'm tired of you doing that, that just makes them feel worse, right? What would you tell parents who have a child who is using and they don't know what to do, and it's been going on for years?
Well, you can't really force anybody to get help. When they're ready, they're ready. But I would just tell them to be there. Obviously, set the boundaries. If it's bad to the point where you can't come into the house, don't let them in the house, but talk to them. You know, if they call you crying, be there. Tell them how much you love them, and don't forget that. Don't shy away from the fact that they're still your son or daughter. You know, that's what happened for me. My mother, she recovered. She's also in recovery, 7 years, but she never gave up on me. She always had welcomed me. And that, even in my active addiction, I looked up to her for that. And today, it's something that I admire about her. You know, she was always a support system for me, whatever kind of day I was having. And I just wish other people can enjoy that as well.
That is so beautiful. That's beautiful. Because you have the opportunity to share this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Does that make you feel good?
It does. It really does. It does.
Tell me more.
Just growing up watching both my parents and how far they've come today is really big to me, because I didn't think I'd have either of my parents. I didn't even think I'd be here now. I thought I'd lose everything, lose my parents, and my youngest brother would kind of just be alone on his own. And having both my parents in recovery, having to be able to go out for birthdays and have dinners and spend time as a family, and not it be such a chaotic argument or fight every time we were with each other like it was growing up. It's amazing to actually have a family, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. A healthy family.
Yeah, yes, definitely. It means the world.
What is it like to have a real friendship?
Somebody that you can depend on. Somebody that calls you on your bluff. Somebody that doesn't make you feel bad into doing something, or like peer pressuring you, because sometimes we be peer pressured and not even realize it. I want somebody as a friend to be there for me and help build me up, not tear me down because they're having a bad day.
That's right. So you mentioned something that I absolutely stand on. You said not cosign, right? That's a person who will let you die. If a person knows that you're wrong and you're heading in the wrong direction, and they're your friend, and you're 100% wrong, and you ask for their support, and they tell you something that's supporting your negativity, that's somebody you really need to get rid of out of your life, right? As far as the support, that's what we're taught, right?
Yes.
Because it just says that two people that are friends are both unhealthy, right?
Definitely.
So how do you choose who's in your life, and how do you choose how to let people who are unhealthy in your life but at a distance?
Well, it's something I'm also learning. I've had to I've had to leave a lot of friendships that I've had and stop talking to a lot of people because it just doesn't really benefit me. And whether it would be just bluntly blocking them and ghosting them, sometimes I've had to do that. Others, like a really good friend of mine, I maintain distance. I don't hang out in person because right now I can't do that for my own recovery and my protection, really. But I love them so dearly, and they're working their own recovery, and we just take it a day at a time. You know, we're always there for each other, but sometimes we just can't be together because we don't make good decisions together.
Right. And that's what I'm talking about exactly. Ooh, the time is ticking. All right. Well, I wanted to say thank you for being here today. I had to take a look. I hate when you have to look over there. And I wanted to just say this real quick before we end. It's very dangerous to go and do what we call a 12-step. We're not supposed to do that without 2 or 3 other people in recovery with us. We're never supposed to go to somebody who's actively using, because we'll end up using before they get clean.
Yes.
Always remember that.
Yes.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today. I appreciate you.
I had a great time.
All right.
I did. Thank you.
Well, that was fast, and we want to thank you for joining us on another episode of Recovery Life. Ciao.
That was fun.